Well, pleasant good morning. Welcome back to KMTV, the morning show. My name is Moses. I'm here alongside my colleague Emmanuel Davis, and we've now been joined by our guest, Mr. Isaac B. Stevens. He's the Assistant Commissioner at the Liberia Revenue Authority. Welcome to the program, Mr. Stevens.
Thank you, Moses. Glad to be here.
Well, and this is the first time.
This is my very first time.
Oh, okay, great. I know it's a way to welcome you to the program. But basically, tell us, how is it going? Are we raising more money?
We are raising more money, but let me pull it in a different form. Let me say we are meeting target. We are striving, trying to meet target.
Striving in Liberia.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The challenges are always there, but in the midst of the challenges, we try to do the very best we
want to raise domestic income to support our budget. We want to be like a country like Kenya that is that 100% of their budget is supported, not from foreign side, but from their GDP, from the taxes paid.
That's true. We want to do that, and we are doing everything we can, but this is a collective agenda that we all must, put our hands around. We do this as a country, and we will do this as a nation.
We agree, because you all get the authority to make sure these taxes are...
No, but you see, it is voluntary tax compliance, so that means every citizen has a responsibility to ensure that they are paying their fair share of taxes to the people of Liberia.
Okay. So basically, how is it like in terms of small tax? You are Assistant Commissioner for the Small Tax Division.
No, let me correct that. Okay, I'm actually here for real estate tax.
Okay, for real estate tax.
That's correct.
Okay,
real estate tax.
Real estate taxes.
Yes.
Executive Order number 89,
yes,
issued by the President of Liberia.
Yes.
In 2017, expires 2 months from now.
Relatively.
12th of October.
Yeah, it expires on the 12th of October. And that executive order was actually issued by Mr. Salif, the former president of Liberia. And it went into effect on October the 13th of 2017. So normally executive orders are in effect for a year. So it expires on the 12th of October. And what it did was to stimulate economic growth and lessen the burden on the Liberian people. That was really the reason for the issuance of the executive order. And what it did was to tell every taxpayer in Liberia, if you had arrears, penalties and interest accrue on your taxes, she waived all of it and said just pay your core taxes, and you don't have to pay any interest or penalty if you pay your taxes by October 12th of this year. And so we have relatively 2 months remaining, and so we want to encourage every taxpayer, if you have not paid your taxes, everyone knows if you have not paid your taxes, especially real estate taxes, to come forth and pay your taxes by October 12th to take advantage, of the executive order that waives the interest and the penalty on your arrears.
So basically, how has this compliance been? It's almost a year now since this executive order was issued by the president. It's always a good thing when you owe someone and your interest rate has grown, and the person say, you know what? I know you can't pay me. Just give me my gross. Just give me what you got for me.
Right.
Yeah. So how has it been like?
Well, we've had good response, but I think it can be
good.
I don't want to use the word very. But we've had some people have taken advantage. There are still many out there who have not taken advantage of this incentive. And that's why I'm here today. That's why I'm visiting you today, to encourage our citizenry throughout the length and breadth of our country to take advantage of this opportunity. Because as of October 13, we will then begin to enforce. That means we will come after you to collect both the interest and the penalty along with your core taxes after October 13th.
Oh, I thought it waived already.
No, it's waived up if you pay up to October 13th. But if you don't pay, we will reinstate the interest and the penalty. No, we don't need to count, because we have expressed as a president, he's somehow set the example for us citizens and residents alike in Liberia that paying tax is a national obligation. It's a patriotic duty. It is incumbent upon us to pay our taxes so that the government that President Weah is leading can be able to finance its development agenda. So I think what President Weah would really be advocating if he was sitting here today would be telling the Liberian people, pay your taxes if you want the government to succeed. I always say there's no better way for any of us as citizens or residents of this country to support the proper agenda than paying your taxes. You know, you might not be the vice president, the senator, or the representative, but you can pay your little taxes that you owe. And to me, when you do that, you have contributed to this proper agenda.
One thing that comes to my mind, and in fact two, because firstly, there are some Liberians, many Liberians that I know of and I've spoken to have said, come on, we pay our taxes to our government for development, for construction of road, for the enhancement, the overall enhancement of the society.
Yes.
But after all, it goes in a pocket of few people, and we don't get the trickle-down effect of the money we pay our hard-earned cash. So this could discourage people from paying their taxes.
Well, I like to respond this way. I don't know whether I go in the pocket of people or not. I'm not the auditor, and I'm not the person who does disbursement for the government of Liberia. I'm a tax collector.
Okay.
And our responsibility at LRA is to collect revenue, rightful revenue, lawful revenue for the people of Liberia. That's our obligation.
Okay.
It is the Ministry of Finance that does disbursement, and our budget process through the legislative process goes on every year, so our representative and our senator have oversight of that. But what I can tell you is, as a country, we need to do better to create that linkage between taxation and expenditure. Okay. And what I mean, we have to envision that this is a social contract between the taxpayer and the government. In other words, when citizens pay their taxes, they expect government to provide some development within their community so that they can begin to connect, taxation and expenditure. In other words, there has to be a visible and tangible linkage between taxation and expenditure. So we still have not done that. But let me also point this to you, though. How many people are really paying taxes in Liberia?
That's one thing I'm coming back to.
The compliance rate is very, very low.
What is the rate?
Well, it's kind of really hard to give you. I can only give you an estimate from a real estate perspective. I want to believe that it's probably around maybe 4% or something.
4% of the population.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just estimating. Yeah, let me put it this way.
Yes.
Real statistical data have not, but you're looking at right now in just most of our taxation is just in Moshorado County for the most part. Okay. This is where, especially for real estate, this is just, Moshorado is where we collect most of our taxes, probably 90-something% of our taxes.
Now, yes. Sorry, I have to hold you. It brings me to this question, because you are in the business of collecting as per your mandate.
Correct.
To collect lawful revenue for the Liberian government.
That's correct.
Have you been able to conduct a survey that would tell you, that would clearly explain to you what has been the attributing factor for Liberians refusing or failing to support their own government with the lawful taxes?
There are arrays of issues and challenges, both from our side as the tax authority and from the citizens' perspective. Okay, we have a struggling economy. That's one. Two, the cadastral. Okay, in Liberia, just identifying property, just to identify property and tie it to its rightful owner is a huge challenge.
And we're not properly mapped.
We're not properly mapped. It's very hard for me to go in a community and say, this is Gazio, this is Moses' house. He can't give me an address to go to his house. So property identification is a grave issue in our country.
And also
the second thing, manpower. I was going to come that funding. There has to be huge funding have to be put in real estate. The potentials are there for real estate to contribute enormously to the national coffers. Okay. But there's huge investment have to be made. Reforms, meaningful reforms have to take place. We have to have the support of the political leadership and even the elites, the economic elites. All of these have to come together.
I think I almost asked that question. The issue of the political will.
Yeah.
You said around you estimating around 4%.
Yeah, I'm just estimating. I don't want to dwell
Yeah,
on it because I want to make sure it's statistically correct.
Yeah, we agree that the tax-paying public in Liberia is very low.
Very low. A very poor tax-paying culture in Liberia.
That, you lack the political will?
Well, you know, we are a country that is very sympathetic. We sometimes don't want to hurt.
Sympathetic?
Yeah, sometimes we don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Is that the platform or the pillar on which we run our government?
Well, I hope it's not, but we can see semblance of that sometimes. You know, if you really look at it, the enforcement arm of enforcing, you know, the tax law is weak. You know, is really weak. I've been in office, in my office, my present position I occupy, I've been there for 1 year.
Okay.
And I have sent cases to court that have not been adjudicated in terms of, you know, because the law provides that if you don't pay your taxes, we should be able to, you know, to seize your property, first close it, seize it, auction it, and pay your taxes. Okay. But I don't know of any business that have been really
how many
close
cases we can say you've been able to forward?
Well, I mean, I'm just one tax kind, but there are other tax kind. You know, for me, it goes through all of the law provides that if you fail to pay your taxes as you know, after, you know, 72-hour closure warning, first we send you a letter of determination, and then we issue 72-hour closure notice. If you fail to comply in every sense of the law, we should package your information, send it through our legal department, and through our legal department to the Ministry of Justice for prosecution. So I can only tell you what I have submitted to the legal department. Well, I think I've submitted, and these are just the big ones, because sometimes you have to direct your resources where you can get the greatest value. These are just some of the big ones, about 19 cases, you know, of huge, you know, tax obligation, mostly commercial.
Maybe you call names.
No, you know, some part of our law, you know, is a little bit private at some point in time.
You keep it private.
No, when it's in code now, it becomes in the code. It's a public information. But right now we are
defrauding the Liberian people, or she's defrauding the Liberian.
Even if there are processes and procedure that we have to go through, and sometimes those processes and procedure can be so, you know, involving, and it takes a lot of time just to walk through.
Do you get
the
people
code
calling
system.
you, because you were talking about the political will, do you get people calling you, okay, when you try to take some actions to say, okay, Mr. X has not paid his taxes, we're going to send him to court, we are forwarding him to court, and he gets one big fish come and tell you, okay, Mr. Commissioner, this is my interest. Does that undermine your work?
Well, for me, it doesn't undermine my work. My work is my work.
Does it happen?
Well, you know, some business people might call you and say, Mr. Stevens, you know, for this reason, this economic hardship, for whatever reason, I'm not able to pay my taxes, so I want this favor or stuff and things. But we administer the tax law, the tax code without fear or favor. We know we go through and do what we're supposed to do. I, for one, do what I'm supposed to do. The law provides that I do A, B, C, and D, and that's what I do.
I want to bring you back. Let's take a step backward about being, you know, sympathetic.
Yeah.
Because I think that word actually has caught my attention.
Oh, very good. Yeah, we can discuss that.
Being sympathetic.
Right.
So this means that because we are interrelated as one family.
Liberia is a small village.
So this means that you compromise what the law says.
No, absolutely not. What I'm trying to suggest to you is, if and in fact, maybe you may not know, but maybe it's not politically correct, or, you know, but Moses is my nephew.
Okay.
And I'm sitting here today. Okay. If Moses,
will you find Moses to pay?
No, in fact, I'm usually harder on my family. I'm usually harder on my family than other people outside, because I believe that if I'm telling people to pay their taxes, I should be the first person to pay my taxes. My family that are associated with me should be the one, to pay their taxes as well. What I mean by sympathetic is this: we are just a little. Liberia is just a small. One small village. Almost everybody somehow knows everybody, or knows somebody that knows somebody. So a lot of time when somebody is going to call you eventually if they find themselves in trouble and try to ask for an assistant. And so what we do in real estate is, if you can't pay all your taxes, we invite you to come in, we sit with you, we counsel you, and we can even prepare a payment plan that is suited, to your financial gains or outcome and whatever, so that you are able to comply with the in the payment of your
You
taxes.
just need the money.
Pardon me?
The LRA need the money.
We need the money. The country, not just LRA. Actually, it's the country that needs the money.
The country needs the money.
The country needs the money.
So you try to create all sorts of means in terms of...
Absolutely. We try to provide all the help.
You're trying to beg.
Well, not beg, but taxation is payment of taxation is based on your ability to pay.
But somebody should be able to pay their taxes. If they own
Absolutely,
property,
but
if they are gainful employees, they should pay their taxes.
There are different tax kinds.
I know.
Real estate is a little bit different kind of animal.
I know.
All right, as opposed to income tax, because you don't have a choice. When your employer pay you, they are going to take your they will take your taxes out.
I have a serious problem in that income tax.
Yes.
Because there are institutions, I know that doesn't fall within your purview, but there are institutions operating in Liberia that I know they are taking the lawful revenue from their employees, but they don't give those remittances to the LRA,
right,
which is a problem. So it means that one thing, coming back to your division, I think I have figured out this to be a problem, that you are not really, maybe you are not in power, one, and two, you aren't creating the necessary awareness for people to know actually what is the significance, the importance of paying taxes.
No, absolutely. In fact, when you talk about the significance of paying taxes, that's not only restricted to real estate, but every tax kind. And I think LRA have done well. We've done well in terms of publicity. I mean, we create the awareness, we provide the education.
Does the woman
I'm on community radios. I'm on community radios in these times almost everywhere, except recently due to the budget process. Okay. But I'm on community radio. In fact, when I was sitting out there, one of the from Plebo just called me to try to arrange some. So I'm on community radio. The awareness is being provided. We have TBOs throughout the length and breadth of this country, in every county, that provide information, education, brochures, and stuff. So the awareness is there. I think we just have a very, very, very poor tax-paying culture in Liberia.
So we're not used to it.
We are not used to paying taxes. We think that government, we say that, in fact, government property, but where does government get the money from to buy the property? A lot of people just don't have that idea. And even if they do, they still don't think that they should be giving money to government.
Let me take you to the executive order. You said you spoke very strong when you said, okay, you know what? The executive order expires on the 12th of October. On the 13th of October, we'll get after you.
Right.
How will you get after them?
Well, we will begin to get back to our routine enforcement process. And that means, again, we will send you a letter of determination reminding you of your tax obligation, and that if you never took advantage of the executive order that waives your interest and penalty, so now we'll be enforcing all your core taxes as well as the interest and penalty that you owe, your arrears. And again, it goes through
lacking those.
We lack those, but also the law restricts us that when we lack your door, we should open it after the 5 days. 72-hour closure warning. After 5 days we should open it. So there's a lot that has to be done to really strengthen the LRA in terms from the enforcement side. I really, really, really believe that. Because for me, as a real estate commissioner,
who you give it to?
Pardon me?
When you reopen
the owner, it goes back, it reverts to the owner. The property reverts to the owner.
Sell the property.
Well, we don't have that authority. That has to go through the court proceedings. It's the court that has that have the authorities to seize the property, to auction the property, to sell it, and they pay government what the property owner owes the government. Our point from a reinforcement standpoint stops when we take the case to the court. As an authority, we don't have the power to auction, we don't have the power to seize, we don't have the power to prosecute. The prosecution is done through the Ministry of Justice. I mean, they work with our legal team. Of course.
you are a toothless bulldog.
Well, to some extent, we can say that, because the enforcement side has to be strengthened, and I hope that maybe in some jurisdiction they actually give more power to the tax authority, to do some of these things that we are alluding to.
Are you looking? You may not be the Commissioner General. Are you looking at that in the future, that the LRA can be able to prosecute its own cases?
I think the leadership is looking at every component of our operation.
You have a debt code.
Absolutely, yes, we do have a debt code.
But you think that debt code should probably be extended exclusively to the LRA that you can be able to prosecute your own cases?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're talking in terms of infrastructure, you're talking about, many judges and stuff and things. But like I said from the beginning, yes, I do. But we have to also consider that all of these things need funding. A lot of times we create institutions, but we don't fund the institution. And so the institution becomes dormant, and that is about 4 years, yeah?
4 years.
Yeah, yeah. And we've done a lot. We've done a lot, but there's still a lot to be done.
A lot more to be done.
A lot more to be done.
So this issue of the executive order, you probably may be giving warnings now, trying to encourage people. But
and that's
how far did you go with it? I guess when these things come out, people should be able to have an awareness provided to them as it relates to having this executive order.
I for one, and I think all of my colleagues falls within the same category. Every time we have an opportunity to appear, like, in forums such as this, we provide the information. We provide the information. So I don't think it's a lack of information. Like I said, the main thing is, we just don't have that taxpaying culture, and it's going to take time for us to get there. And I think what bothers me a little bit is that, we go to other countries and we see all of these great things happening in their country. We admire them, we enjoy them, but we need to understand that those things don't happen in vacuum. They happen because citizens of those countries have made the commitment, to exercise their patriotic duty and fulfill their national obligation to their country by paying their taxes. It is the people's taxes that develop their country, and we enjoy them. But when we come home, we feel that we don't have to pay taxes. Government will just do development. Government has to have a source of funding. Let me tell you, this year the budget is about what, $505 million. Okay,
very small budget for.
Well, it is small if you look at our potential. But it is not small as far as where we are and what we are able to generate. But the potentials are there. Okay. But yeah, the potentials are there for us to have $1 billion budget in the future. But there has to be an investment in the sector, especially into LRA. There has to be a huge investment. And of that amount, of the $505 million budget, 310 will be collected by domestic tax, and custom will collect 195. So that's 505 of this $570 million budget. So you only have about $65 million that's for external budget support that's going to come in. Okay. So our country
is that the reason why we have budget shortfalls in most cases? Because the LRA is not ready.
No. I don't want to say it's not ready. We are ready.
When I say you're not ready, it means that you don't meet your target.
No, well, we sometimes we don't, but it's not because the LRA is not ready. There are a lot of factors that goes into the budget, even during the preparation. Like, it is my understanding that the budget that was proposed, our honorable representative and senator said they found something somewhere and they added to it. So there are assumptions that underpin, the preparation of the budget. And if those assumptions change, or if they are not right from the beginning, in the end, you will not meet target. So it's an economic, indicators that people look at to prepare the budget. Okay, we're going to collect this revenue, we're going to collect this. That you see the exchange rate fluctuation. All of these affects the budget process. So there are assumptions that are made, and sometimes there are mistakes made in those assumptions, and sometimes those assumptions change. As the months and stuff goes by. So yes, at some point in time, you have to recast the budget, but it's not because LRA is not ready.
Well, viewers, if you just join us, many thanks for joining us. This is KMTV, and you're watching the morning show. We are your presenters, Emmanuel Davis and Moses Colley Gasiwu. Our guest is Asik B.N. Stevens. He is the Assistant Commissioner for Real Estate Tax Division there at the Liberia Revenue Authority. We're talking about tax matter, money matter. At the big hospital in Liberia collecting money to give it to the government to operate. That's what we're talking here. But let's take this break. When we come back, we will talk about some of those key tax violations this morning on our platform. When you evade tax, what does the LRA do when you understate or underdeclare your taxes? I think these are things that we see on their billboards. So he will be explaining to us what actually they mean. And one question I will ask when we come back is about what are the categories of properties that fall within this real estate tax? Maybe John Brown watching doesn't really know what you're talking about, and what is the percentage, the rate that is stipulated for what kind of category A, B, C, or D. Yeah. But we take a break. When we come back, our guests, we're still having time to discuss. Welcome back, and many thanks for rejoining us this lovely, I'm saying lovely because we have a bright day, bright Tuesday morning. Though we're still in the rainy season, and we must appreciate nature, because there are other countries that only experience maybe 1 month rainfall. That's all. But for us, we have one of the biggest rainforests in West Africa, and so we are glad to be Liberia. Thank God for nature. Once again, this is the morning show on KMTV. We have Asik B. and Stevens, Assistant Commissioner for Real Estate Tax at the Liberia Revenue Authority. We're talking about tax matter this morning. Let me come back to you, Mr. Stevens. What are the categories of properties that you talk about when you speak of, real estate tax? Yeah, get my lazy around somewhere.
I know. All hands are not equal, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let me first define what a real property tax is, because a lot of times people don't even know what a real property tax is.
Mm-hmm. You just say tax that tazo.
Yeah, but it's a tax that is paid once a year, and it's paid on real property that are located within the borders of Liberia. It's paid once a year. Normally, the period is from January 1st, to July the 2nd. That's the payment period.
Why up over here on it for?
Well,
they get some force on too.
Yeah, they get some force. But we want it to be it's tangible. That's really what it means. Real properties are immovable property.
Okay.
They are tangible. Somebody who has their money exchange little boot out there, you can't call it real property, because you go after them, they can take a pull on your shoulder and carry it somewhere else. Yeah. But they are immovable. They are fixed structure, fixed improvement. Okay. All right. So, what are the classifications? For real property, we have two major classifications. Okay. We have land and we have buildings, all right? Land and buildings. Okay. And those two major classifications can even be subclassified further. Okay. For buildings, we have residential, we have commercial, and we have industrial for buildings. Okay. And then for land, we have lands that are located in urban area and land that are located in rural areas. So the major classification, like I indicated or stated earlier, are land and building, and they can be subclassified. For land, you have commercial, industrial, and residential.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the tax rate?
The tax rate. For, let's take one. Commercial building is 1.5%.
And what is that? What is the explanation?
Well, 1.5% of the value, of the market value of your property.
Of the property.
Yeah.
How do you know that value of that?
Very good. How you know that value is always a question that comes up. Gazi, I know either you have or you are in a, because if I knew you had one bill already, I would have had you in the tax net. So I think you are still in the process or something. But I want to believe that. All right, but this is how it works. Let's assume you have a house today.
Yeah.
All right, and we say declare the fair market value of your property and pay your taxes on it. And you ask me.
Underscoring fair.
Fair.
Good.
Exactly. So, if you had that building, if you were to sell that building today to Moses, what were you willing, as a willing seller, to sell that property to Moses as a willing buyer, in the exchange marketplace? Yeah. That's considered a fair market value of your property.
Okay.
All right. Or you can, for some people, they can accumulate all the costs that they incur in doing their construction. That's a reasonable representation of the fair market value of your property. Okay. So you declare the fair market value. If it is residential, we apply 1/4%. Okay. All right, to the value. If it is commercial or industrial, we apply 1.5%. Okay. If it is a vacant lot, it's 3.5%. So the value times the rate, give you your assessment, and then determines your tax.
In case I honor, sorry Moses, in case I understate that.
Right. Well, we hope that citizens will be fair, they will be patriotic, and they will be honest, and they will have a sense of integrity about themselves to declare the fair market value.
Does integrity stand in Liberia, in fact?
Well, even in the midst of the worst, there are good things that can happen. So I want to believe that they are committed people in this country, people with a sense of integrity.
Something good can come from Nazareth. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. But we understand that some citizens are not going to do that. So the law provides that if you declare your fair market value to LRA today, we have 5 years to go back and reassess your property. If we have any reason to believe that you under-declare the fair market value of your property, and that is why when you come to register your property, we ask you to provide a photo of your property, your deed, right, identification, a passport. So especially the photo, it helps us to see how the structure looks. So our valuation team will take a look at that, the location of your property, and then the picture of your property, and make some determination based on the value that you declare.
But isn't that expedient that you dispatch LRA inspectors to go and see?
Let me tell you something. In my valuation team, I have, I believe, 6 staff in my value for the entire country.
6?
It is impossible to dispatch. Just in much, 6.
I mean, that sounds laughable, honestly.
But that's why I said the sector, the Republic, real estate tax, the valuation section, not the entire division. The valuation section. They are responsible to go, value or verify what you declare.
And this is pathetic, honestly.
That's why we need a lot of fun. Anything you say, that's it until we find out that's not it. But sometimes the process.
How soon you would know?
Absolutely. So that's why a lot of time people think that the taxation is not administered fairly. No, it is administered fairly. But you and I know if we are engaging in any venture, okay, even in terms of tax collection, you have to employ your resources where you can get the greatest value, all right? You have to employ so a lot of time we enforce on big properties. We enforce on small properties because everyone's supposed to be enforced on, but you employ your resources where you can get the greatest value. But again, the sector has enormous potential, but the investment has to be made to reform real estate taxation in Liberia.
A very huge challenge.
Absolutely.
There at the Liberia Revenue Authority. Yeah. Sorry if I'm bringing you back again to this issue about real property.
Right.
There are huts in the rural parts of Liberia.
Yeah.
And I know there is a fixed rate we'll talk about.
Right.
But one key component is land.
Right.
John Brown is in the States and in Clay Ashland or somewhere, Kingsville number 7 along the Monrovia Kakata Highway.
Yes.
I mean, this guy is purporting to be the owner of a 24 or 50 acres of land.
Okay.
How do you trace this person to pay the real estate taxes?
Very good. I will tell you the truth. There's for the most part there's no way to really trace that person, and so that's why at LRA we say we are in self-declaration regime.
What does that mean?
That means for the most part we are depending on citizens to come and declare and pay the value, declare the fair market value of their property and pay their rightful taxes. And in most countries, that's actually how, for the most part, it works. It's voluntary compliance. So they don't have a lot. I mean, they don't spend a lot of resources on enforcement because citizens know that their taxes will work for them, and so they pay their taxes and they enjoy the benefit of paying their taxes. They can see it in the infrastructures, they can see it in their schools, they can see it through their hospitals, and so even if you want to play tricks, even your neighbor can be the one to expose you because they don't want you to stop their services. Absolutely.
I wanted to know, the LRA is incapacitated, especially tracking real estate.
Absolutely.
Taxes.
You're
not ready for it.
We are trying, because we are contributing, even though it's not much, but we are contributing.
We're not ready. LRA not ready for.
We will get there.
I call that a decimal contribution.
It is. Well,
it's a drop in the ocean.
It is.
You want to allude to
compared to the potential? Yes. Okay. Compared to the potential, it is a drop in the bucket.
Okay.
But then again, we got to look at everything. Taxation, especially real estate taxation, in most other jurisdictions or countries, it is collected locally.
Okay.
Okay, it's a local tax.
Okay.
That means it's not collected by the national government.
Municipality.
Municipalities.
Okay.
You know, in Liberia, we are collecting real estate property taxes nationally.
Okay.
And the reason why most countries collect property taxes locally, the property taxes that are collected in a certain locality goes towards the development of that locality. Okay. So the people that live in there, they see clearly every day, visibly see their taxes going to work for them. Okay. They see it in their school, in their sewage system, in their garbage collection. They see it working for them locally. In some cases, they may have a revenue sharing agreement with the national government, but it's most country real property taxes are collected locally, and it goes towards the development of that, and that actually lessens the strain on the national budget as well.
So how do you go about encouraging Liberians to actually pay taxes, especially on real estate tax properties, on a voluntary basis? This self-declaration regime, how does it work?
Well, it works through sensitization, it works through awareness, it works through education now. And then we have to also employ the full force of our law too. But again, taxation is not on the ability to pay. You know, I can come and say, pay this. If you don't have it, you're just not going to pay it. But then there are some who just need the education, they need the awareness. But there are some who need the law, the force of the law, you know, to compel them to come and to pay. So all of these components have to be working together. Okay. But even more important, as I stated from the beginning, we have to create that linkage.
Do you stage town hall meetings?
Oh yes,
do community engagement.
Yes, we do community engagement.
We have 6 staff in your
no, but that's only valuation. You see, I have 3 sections in my division. Okay. Real estate is a division, and I have 3 sections. I have valuation, I have accounts and record, and I have enforcement.
Okay.
All right. So with community, myself gets engaged in the community engagement. I do presentation all around ministries and agencies of government, churches, religious institutions, faith-based organizations. We are all over the place providing those education. Absolutely, we go to churches. You know, because biblically you're supposed to pay your taxes too, because the Bible says, "Pay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to the government what belongs to the government." So taxation is not a new thing. You know, that's actually what it says.
Current Gabi says we continue to pay our taxes and see no development from our government, but use taxpayers' money to pay salaries rather than development. Even those at the LRA collecting taxes should be questioned. It is sad to see taxpayer money wasted on individuals. We pay. Yeah, you spoke about other countries collecting the taxes and citizens are seeing the worth of these taxes.
Correct.
Is it because Liberians are seeing nothing?
Well, I don't want to say
that is why
I don't want to
taxes is approximately around 4%.
I don't want to say no. Don't be quoting that statistics. It's not an official statistic. Yeah, okay,
estimated.
Right. Estimated, something like that for real estate, not the other taxes.
That is estimated.
I agree that the linkage, and I keep saying that the linkage between taxation and service delivery has to be strengthened so that citizens can see it. But to say nothing at all is not true, because the roles that we have, as small as they may be in terms of coverage, the hospitals that we have, the schools that we have, is paid by taxes.
Some of the roads we see, that there are small stretch of fewer roads from rehabilitated by your taxes.
No, that's not true. That's actually not true. You know, most of these loans that we take is taxes that goes to service the loans. If you take loan to pay a road, it's the taxes that the citizens pay that go to service the loans. So a lot of times people don't even know that.
Why people don't? Why they say now inscripted on these billboards that your taxes at work? But most
we do that.
The World Bank support.
Well, yeah, because you have to also recognize partnership. You know, in development processes, you have to recognize the partnership. But in some cases, even our science shows that we have pictures of what your taxes do: education, hospitals, roads, infrastructures, and whatnot. But we got to strengthen the linkage. Because it's a social contract. You tell me to pay taxes. When I pay taxes, I want to see the taxes also going to work. So I agree, that particular linkage, that social contract has to be strengthened. It got to be strengthened visibly so that people can see their taxes going to work for them. And that is why in other countries, real estate taxes, when it's collected locally, the local government, sits around a table and decide the development that goes on within that locality, whether it's a county, whether it's districts or whatever, most taxation in other countries are collected locally. Again, it could be a revenue sharing, position between the national government and the local government as well. Because that way they are most likely able to see their taxes going to work for them. So that linkage has to be created.
Mr. Stevens,
yes.
Finally, from our end, time is not in our favor. We have to go now. Did I hear you speak of honor stating taxes?
Oh yeah, honor declaring. Some people can honor declare not taxes, but the value of their property.
Value of their properties.
Correct.
Okay. What do you do?
Well, like I indicated earlier, the law provides that if you declare, we will take that at face value the first time you present your declaration, but it also provides us the opportunity to go back and reassess that property if we have any reason to believe that you have under-declared the value of your property. That's the only,
do you jail people?
Not me as a person. The court can jail you. The government should jail you if you, fail to pay your taxes or auction your property, depending on the tax kind. For real estate, the law provides that they can seize that property, they can close that property, seize it, auction it, and they pay the tax debt and give you back the balance of your money.
If I'm capable of paying those taxes that I only declared before, I just pay.
If you are capable,
if I'm capable,
and you just pay, yeah, you pay with interest and penalty. That's the punishment for that. If you pay,
I should add interest because I want to declare.
If you under declare, absolutely, because if you were supposed to be paying $5 in taxes, okay, you were supposed to be, or let's say you're supposed to be paying 10, but because of the value that you declare, you are only paying 5. We can go and reassess the back taxes that you owe.
Okay. Finally, the executive order 89 closes. Of October.
It closes the 12th of October.
What are you doing now to stimulate people's appetite to come and pay their real estate tax?
We are trying to provide awareness through radio, television, such as this today, and announcements. In fact, we have announcements going. And we are encouraging citizens to take advantage of an opportunity. Sometimes the taxes are so minute, but it is the interest and the penalty that accrues over time that makes people somehow incapable of paying their taxes because they let it accrue for so many years. Sometimes the core taxes can just be $100, but if you don't pay for 2-3 years, the interest and the penalty when added on the core taxes, it gets huge and it becomes very difficult to pay. So the executive order number 9 expires on the 12th of October, and so we are encouraging citizens to take advantage of it. It waives your interest and it waives your penalty. So you come now, you pay just your core taxes.
Finally, just before we can go, can you tell us how much you were able to raise during those periods of the executive order?
Well, we are still working on the number, so I can't quote an exact number. In terms of real estate, right?
In terms of real estate.
In terms of real estate, yeah, we are still working on a number, but I'm sure it's in the upward of $5 million. Not only in the period, not just
$5 million Liberian dollars.
No, US is up, yeah, but not just during the period, but for the year, for the fiscal year, which include the